auctions at airport, coffee shops. As soon as they arrive, they are among thousands of women brought into the UK to be sex slaves, usually with no idea of their fate. So, is this a Christian problem, would you say? Okay, here's another report from the BBC in 2005. It says it's titled "Millions Live in Modern Slavery." It says some 12.3 million people are enslaved worldwide, according to a major report. International organizations say 2.4 million of them are victims of trafficking, and their labor generates profits over $30 billion. So you can see this is a global problem, and it's not restricted to the Muslim world. It's worldwide. Much of the profits are being made in the USA and Europe, 15.5 billion. The Asia and the Pacific, 9.7 billion. Transition countries, 3.4 billion. Middle East, North Africa, 1.5 billion. And these are the profits being made from trafficked forced labor. So who's the bigger culprit here, the Middle Eastern countries or the USA and Europe? Right, so I hope that shows you that this is not an Islamic problem, this is a human problem that we need to work together to eradicate. Then you go on about African culture and facing Mecca and reading the Quran in Arabic. I think I've addressed that in my previous video to you. So yeah, if you go back to that, that'll give you those answers. And then you go on to boast about how the Islamic God can only read Arabic, one language, and compare it with over 2,000 languages which the Bible has been translated into. So what I want to do is basically take two of these Bibles, both in English. You can tell me if you spot a difference. The first is the New International Version, Psalms 2 verse 7, and it reads, "I will proclaim the decree of the Lord. He has said to me, you are my son, today I have become your father." So that's the New International Version. And the King James Version reads, so that's Psalms 2 verse 7, "I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, thou art my son, this day I have begotten thee." So do you see the difference between two versions of the Bible, both in the same language, and yet with completely different meanings? And yet you have the audacity to boast that the Bible has been translated into over 2,000 languages, when we can't even get the Bible correct in one language. And you know the connotations of the word begotten within that verse. This is not addressing Jesus, this is addressing David. So if David is the begotten son of God, then you believe not in the three gods but four gods. So I don't know if you want to explain that and how that is correct. You can come back to me. Then you moved on to about Jews being turned into apes, monkeys and pigs or whatever. I didn't really see your point until you made a comment in the video that Arabs weren't being turned into pigs or monkeys, etc. So what's the reason for that? Is it anti-Semitic? Is it being racist? No. Muslims believe that a prophet was sent to every nation, and prophets were sent also to the Jews, and they all brought the same message, i.e. that God is one. And if you can find in Mark 12 verse 29, "And Jesus answered him, the first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord." So all the prophets brought that message, and all the prophets said, submit your will to God. This is what we call Islam. So why are the Jews mentioned in the Quran like this? Simply, I'll put it in the simplest terms, is that the Jews are given as examples to Muslims of what we must not do. And the reason why they're given as the example is because the Torah, the Psalms, and the Gospel was revealed to them, and they were the ones to receive scriptures before the Muslims. So that's the reason why they are given as examples. So there's nothing anti-Semitic about it. It's just simply examples. So, I mean, if we really want to look for racism, I mean, I can argue that we can find it in the Bible. I mean, if you look at Matthew chapter 15, verses 24 to 26, you find, but he, that's Jesus, answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So that means the Jews only. Then came she, that's the Canaanite woman, and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. So she's basically asking Jesus, peace be upon him, to cure her daughter. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs, the non-Jews. So non-Jews, as many claim, is the Jews as our race. So anybody else who is not Jewish, we're all dogs. If this isn't racism, I don't know what is. Well, I'll leave you with an extract from the Prophet's last sermon, as I did with my first video, to prove to you that there's no racism in Islam. And the Prophet said, peace be upon him, all mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab has any superiority over an Arab. Also, a white has no superiority over a black, nor a black has any superiority over a white, except by piety and good action. So, I hope that helps. If you want to come back with me with anything, please feel free to do so. Assalamu alaikum.